Okay, well, as a musician and drummer and auxiliary percussionist, I often suffer from very bad case of gas. What does that mean? Gear acquisition syndrome. Hmm. A lot of musicians watching this probably can relate. So what is gear acquisition syndrome? What is gas? Gas means that you're always looking for the new sound, the thing to add to your collection, to add to your kit, to add to your pedal board for guitar players, um, synth players. Man, these days those little modular things are total gas worthy. Like, I know people who are just all into those little modular synths, and you can spend a little bit for one and a lot for 100 of them. They're really cool. I can see how that'd be very addictive. Well, one of my biggest addictions throughout time um, were shakers. I love shakers. And I don't think there could be enough shakers in my life, ever. I could probably have a million shakers and still find a new shaker that I would just probably just have to have because it sounds different than all the other shakers. In the States, I was a big fan of those places like Pier 1 Imports and 10,000 Villages that have imported crafts from all over the world. Uh, and those are great places to find all kinds of interesting instruments, especially shakers. So shakers in those places, you might see 10 of the same looking shakers, but each one would have a different sound, a different flavor. So I would literally go through all the shakers to find the ones that I would like or could use, and think about what context I would use it in. If you go to the stores, the regular music stores, or shop online, a lot of money can be spent on getting gear, especially if it's new gear. So, again, recycled instruments. You can make some of these things yourself and get really great results. Shakers are pretty easy to make, in fact. All you need is a container and something inside of it to shake. Or on some shakers, they have things on the outside. And it can be very easy. You can get very complex with making shakers, or you can be very simple about it. So here's just this old salt shaker container with some red beans inside of it. Super easy. Like much less than 10-minute project here. I'm going to say it was probably less than 5 minutes, even with the tape. It was just like, put it in there. I don't even think I glued this one. I just taped it. And it sounds pretty good. It's got some nice clicky sounds like that. So you can get really simple with it. And you can get a little bit more complex. So let me show you some of these shakers that I've recently made. These are not hard to make, but they are more complex than the last one I showed you. So check it out. And look at it. Doesn't it look like a product from LP, Latin Percussion? Or I think Meinl has a very similar style too, that you would buy at a store for like 600 baht, $20, something like that, right? And this one has glass beads inside of it. These I love. I'm so happy with these. I have 2 of them. Just rice. I did shellac the rice. Experimenting a little bit to see how I can make the rice last longer and not break down. But I don't know if that works yet or not. We'll see in a few years. But yeah, so you could use these ridges and put a large rubber band to keep them together, or you can just hold them together to get different sounds. different combinations. Shakers are really important to me because sometimes you're playing a folk gig. You need something nice and light. Sometimes you're playing a rock and roll gig and you need something louder. Studio work, oh my goodness. I would come to studio work with at least 5 or 6 different shakers available. I mean, drum kit players, yeah, I guess I was kind of like this too. Drum kit players often show up in studios with several snare drums. So each song might sound a little different, and you can work with the feeling and the sound of the song to get the right sound. So again, shakers. You don't want to go into a full gig playing like that. You don't want to do it. You don't want to lay down a big old shaker track on something nice and soft and smooth and romantic. And also, you don't want to go into a rock gig with something too soft that no one's going to hear because it just won't cut through the music. You don't want to do it. You want something that's going to be brash and threatening almost, you know? So what are these made from? These are made from Menji yogurt bottles. So you can get a 12-pack, you can get a 6-pack. I think the 12-pack is about 60 baht, more or less, which translates into about $2 US. Inside, some of them have foam, but some of them have wine corks. Seems to me that wine corks used to be bigger, like thicker. I don't drink wine, so I don't really know, but it seems like I was getting these like very thin wine corks, and they weren't really like fitting very well without a ton of electrical tape. So I started using some other foam, like a hard foam, to separate the different sides. So what does that mean? You can see that they don't fall. The ones up here don't fall to the bottom when you do that. That's pretty important because that helps the sound stay consistent. This one has plastic beads in it. These two do. This one has some glass beads in it from a broken necklace that I had, and I was kind of like, well, I might reuse these beads for a necklace someday, but I could just put them in a shaker too. This one has BBs, steel BBs. This one does have some soft foam on each end, so you don't get the clack. You don't get the clack. But it did help a lot because without that, it was just like, it would be great for a rock gig. Man, that was threatening. So I might make some more sometime without that. But I probably would rarely use it. And these are just rice. So Menji bottle, yogurt bottle, shakers. And again, you can get 12 bottles of yogurt for roughly $2 US, 60 baht, something like that. Maybe a little bit more. So that means you can make 6 shakers. And you have a refreshing yogurt drink to enjoy. It's kind of a fruit-flavored yogurt drink. Pretty good. So, there you go. And thanks for watching again. See you next time.